Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, you're going to see us redo our kitchen, and we're going to start by taking off all of the cabinet doors because we're actually going to paint all of these cabinets by hand. So what we realized is that we had specific hinges that we're going to show, and we decided to replace them with soft close hinges, but before we do that, we actually have to fill in the gaps or else they would show. So we used a combination of glue and shims to fill in the hole. Then we cut off the excess and then filled in all the little gaps with some wood filler, which you see here. And then once that was dry, we went ahead and sanded it down to be really smooth. And it doesn't really matter that the wood color doesn't match because, again, we're painting these, so we just wanted to fill in all the gaps, and it seemed to work out pretty well. So next up, we're going for this primer by Kills, and we're going to be painting all the doors and all the cabinets with this primer first before paint, and I'm just applying that with this foam roller that's specifically made for cabinets and cabinet doors. You could totally spray your cabinets. Plenty of people do it and it turns out amazing, but we opted to just do it by hand because that's what we wanted to do. So going in with my roller, we are going with a dark navy paint for these cabinets, and what this primer is going to do is just help the longevity of the paint as well as let the paint stick to these cabinets. I did also use a liquid sander before I put on this primer. Whether that helped or not, I'm not completely convinced, which is why I decided to just go ahead and do a primer also. But I'll have the liquid desander and this primer linked below. And as you can see, the primer is going over those hinge holes that we filled pretty perfectly, and that's exactly what we wanted. We just wanted it to smooth it out, and it ended up working. Okay, so here you can see all of our cabinets are primed and ready for paint, and I'm going in and using this Infinity One Coat Perfection. I'm not sure if I really believe the one coat perfection, and I'll show you why in a little bit, but I saw that this was highly recommended in a blog, so I went with it. And the color we're using is called Dark Nights, and it is a Sherwin-Williams color, and I absolutely love it. It definitely goes on a little green looking, but it is kind of like this navy with like a touch of green. I absolutely love it. But I'm going in first in all of the edges, and you can notice that I did tape off so that I can remove the tape for a nice clean edge. This is what it looked like with just one coat with the primer. And you can tell when I did the edging with the brush over here, like it got way darker. It looks way more navy. This looks more green, which I know there's like a greenish hue to it, but I definitely want the cabinets to look navy, so I'm just going to do as many coats to match that edge there and get it as navy looking as possible, because I definitely don't want green or even teal cabinets. I want navy. Wow, good job. Wow, smile. So cabinets are coming today. We've got all the countertops off. I just did a second coat on this cabinet, and I'm going to finish this cabinet, and then of course this cabinet, and hopefully they're dry by the time the guys come to install the countertops and the sink and all that. But yeah, like the first coat with primer is not looking good. So definitely needs a second coat and probably touch-ups. So I definitely noticed that I got a really nice thick coat just using the brush as opposed to the roller. And so I don't know if the roller is meant for several coats or not, but I'm too impatient of a person to handle that. So I was really putting on a nice thick coat with the brush and then going over top of that with the roller, because it seemed like I could pick up more paint with the brush, and it seemed to work out. So here I am covering it up with a nice second layer of thick paint. So now we're moving on to drilling holes for the hardware as well as the new hinges, and we use the Craig jig for this, which was super helpful, and I'll have all of this linked below if you're interested in switching out your hinges. But yeah, it was totally worth it to get the look that we wanted, which was a lot more modern than previous. I would highly recommend doing this before you paint the cabinets, but that was just something we learned as we went. We didn't really think about it, but it ended up working out. I did have to do a few touch-ups, but it was really no big deal. But if you're doing this from the start, make sure you drill your holes before you get paint started, and it'll save you some time. I picked out this gold hardware, just found it on Amazon, and it was really inexpensive. I believe we found the soft close hinges also on Amazon, but I'm not completely positive. I'll have to ask my husband. He was actually in charge of that. So I'll also have those linked below, but it was totally worth it. This is what our laminate countertop looked like. When we took the sink out, it was corroded with water because we had an overmount sink, and we're actually updating our faucet to this one that I found on Amazon as well. Great price for the look, and we really needed a new faucet, and he got it installed after the guys came to put in the countertop, as you can see. And so now we're going to be moving on to getting a nice backsplash up. And this is all the products that we were using. I'm not going to be showing you how to install a backsplash, but I am going to link the video below that we followed for instruction, pretty much to the T with all the product and everything. So definitely head over there to watch that video if you're interested. But I'm just going to show you the items that we used for our backsplash. We just went with a simple white subway tile. This is the first time we've installed a backsplash together, and it was definitely a learning experience. It took us about 3 days, and we also used this nice edging to get a nice clean look on the end of our backsplash. We went with a little bit more of a modern pattern, not quite your typical brick lay, but we went just more like an 80-20 split, which I thought was a little bit more modern than your traditional brick lay, and it turned out really great. So yeah, you'll see how that looks in just a bit. So here we are mixing the grout for the tile, and we just went with a soft white color because I thought that would look a lot more cleaner. You can see how much dimension there is right now. So if we had done a darker grout, it would lend more to a rustic feel, and this just kind of makes it a little bit more modern. I'm curious if many of you have installed your own Backsplash before, or if you haven't yet, would you try it? Honestly, I would totally do it again. It was actually fun to learn. I've always wanted to install a Backsplash, and we learned a lot, good and bad, and it made such a difference in the style and design of the kitchen. So definitely looking to do something even more intricate than typical subway tile next time. But for our first experience, this was like a really good simple style and pattern to work with. So we have this area here with a small cabinet. We kind of have it as our coffee bar, and the fridge actually used to be here, but we switched the cabinet and the fridge to have more of an open layout in our kitchen. And so what we decided to do was go for a couple of floating shelves above this Backsplash. And I actually found this floating shelves kit on Amazon, super easy to install. And after we measured the space, we determined it was going to be perfect for this spot. And so right now we're just marking out the studs to put in the brackets, and then Seth is actually going to be building the shelves to install here. I almost just bought a couple of floating shelves from Target that I found that would have fit there, and it would have just been one little purchase and installation, but Seth insisted that he wanted to build the shelves, so he got the right thickness of pine, and he's actually going to be sanding it down, cutting it down, and drilling these holes for the brackets. He wanted to do it, and so I just let him do it, and we end up just staining them, sealing them, and they turned out really, really nice. Before staining, we always do a wood conditioner, and this allows the stain to go on evenly and just prepares the wood for the stain. And we decided to go with weathered oak to go with the rest of the kitchen style, and I was really happy with the color. So just to give you some reference, this is what our kitchen looked like the day that we moved in. This is actually from our listing of what our house looked like before, and here's a little video that I took on my phone. You can follow me on Instagram to kind of see projects as they happen. And this is the final look to the kitchen, and we were super happy with how it turned out. We loved the color. It's a nice, modern, moody navy blue with the gold kind of brassy hardware. I need a combination of knobs and handles to kind of really make it pop, and I think it turned out really, really well. I'll go ahead and have this hardware linked below if you're interested. Super inexpensive, and it really made a difference in how it looks and even how it functioned, because I hated opening up these cabinets without hardware. and we are so happy with our new quartz countertops and undermount sink. It just really tied everything together and made the biggest difference, and we were not too proud to hire that job out. It was totally worth the money and investment in a good quality countertop. And I think that this faucet just kind of really modernizes the sink area. Just super, super nice to have.
I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. Forever.
We did also end up painting the pantry door to match the cabinets, and I actually kept the original handle because it kind of matched the brassy color. And if you've watched our tutorials past, we also updated the flooring, which also goes really, really well with the cabinet color. Here is how our floating shelves turned out. They just hold a little bit of, some things we use for our coffee and some decor, and also it's just so nice to have that extra storage. Be sure to leave a comment and like this video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you're subscribed for more DIY projects. We actually just moved houses, so we have a lot more projects to accomplish, and I'd love to see you there. Someone was making fun of me in another video for saying that, like, when you would do something, I would say we did this instead of you were doing this, and then when I was doing something, I would say I wouldn't say we. But the thing that people don't realize is that I film a part of it, but then I help you when I put the camera down. So that's why I say we. So like, I helped you with it, but I can't film myself and you, like, with us doing it together with the kind of shots I want to get. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.